Hello. God damn it, I hate starting goalies. What a disaster. Right at the end, oh my God, falls to Pavel's stick. He's got it. He makes the play in tight. He got it up off the ice. It's there. Oh, what a save. What a save that was by Ottinger. Even the Barbashev one right at the end, right at the death there. Like I thought that one might have been going, and he gets a glove on that one. Um, I just like I wanted to do one. I wanted to do the Periscope today because I wanted to kind of look at both games. I know we're going to end up focusing more on today's game. That's just kind of the way it goes with the my memory and all that. But like if you look at the two games and you go in and you said, all right, well, will they get 2 points out of these two games? I think we would have been pretty fine with that. It would have been better if it were 3 or 4, but getting the two out of them is good. I think the biggest piece of all of what's occurred over the last 24 hours or 25, however long it was, I guess that one started a little bit later, is that I think it's important to note like what the Golden Knights looked like down the stretch in this game. So this is a game where you're up against it. Like you're up against it with the fact that you're on the back-to-back with travel. They said they didn't get in until about 1:30 in the morning. And then they play the game it's even an early game at 6:30 local. So it's even earlier than the norm because it's on ESPN. That changes your routine a little bit. I don't think that's that big of a deal. But long game the night before, tough game the night before. They had to work to get that one and to find their way to get all the way to the finish line here and keep fighting and keep battling and having that push, especially when it didn't look good for the end of the second. And then the beginning of the third really didn't look very good either. They couldn't get through the neutral zone. They couldn't get anything on goal. Like it was looking like it was a little bit tricky at that point. So to be able to get the push, get yourself going in the right direction, get the goal for Michael, put yourself in a position where you have these opportunities. The power play was there. The 6-on-5 looked good. The 6-on-5s looked excellent the last couple of times we've seen it. Like these are things that even though they're not coming out of this stretch, and we'll see when they come out of the stretch, like next game's Florida, then it's Dallas again, then it's a Columbus team that's playing pretty good, and then it's 4 straight on the road, way away from home in a different time zone with everybody's minds focused either on playing in Four Nations or on the break, and that's going to be tricky as well. So it may not happen where they just come right out of it right here, but to see what it looked like down the stretch and having that opportunity is a real positive, is a really something to grasp onto to say, all right, we don't absolutely need these points at this moment. It would be nice, but you don't absolutely need them. So to find something where this wasn't a game where it just kind of fell apart like it looked like it was going to at the end of the second period, couple that with the win last game where you get out to the early lead, you're able to push it forward a little bit, continue to make plays happen, and then win it at the 6-on-5 against them. That's good. Like those are two positives that between them, I think you want to look at these two games. And yeah, it's tough. We're sitting here right now with a loss. It's frustrating, but two games, 2 points, come back home in a tricky spot. It's not bad. Now you got to build on it. You're going to have to get things done. And that's where we're going to start talking about some of the challenges that have come up over the course of the last game. The number one thing that's been as clear as can be, especially tonight, beyond anything, is Jack Eichel's been unbelievable. The guy's absolutely on fire. He's been spectacular. And because of it, it's making Stone even better than he has been. And he's been very good as well, but it's making Stone even better. You're seeing the passing has been crisp, the offense has been very good. They're living in the offensive zone. Even if they start all the way on the other end, they're getting opportunities going the other way. They've been fantastic. Like that, really Eichel and Stone. Barbashev, I thought at times it's not going as well. But then as this game went on, I thought it got better and better and better, and he's starting to make plays. And I feel like maybe it's just finally starting to catch back up for him. And I've been saying for a while here, and I will probably get back to it the moment we get Carlson back. But I've been saying I think it's best for this team long term to have a different look, to not have Barbashev, Eichel, Stone together for an entire season. If all of them are healthy, that's who plays together. I think it will be good to get a look a different way. But while Carlson is out, which it looks like it's probably going to be all the way through the break here, I think it's probably best to just stick with it. Now, it does lead to, where is it? This that Michael says here. We seem like a one line team tonight. Yeah, it has been, and it will probably continue to be at different times. One line of offense that's really carrying the mail and doing most of the job, and then the power play. And that's what it was today. Power play gets two, Eichel's line gets the other one. The rest of them don't really get anything. And when you really think deep into some of the opportunities, Hurdle on the breakaway coming out of the penalty box. That's really the next best chance they had. There's really not a lot else there. I think Hurdle had one in tight at one point. I thought was a pretty good chance where the puck was kind of loose in front. He was able to get a poke to it, and it looked like maybe that was an opportunity. But as a whole, that is an issue. And that's where I'm going to write about it for tomorrow. The 5-on-5 has taken really not a good step. Like, it's heading in the wrong direction. It's starting to be a lot more of pressing for offense, and you're not getting enough of it for what the deficit that comes with the defense happens. So they've got to start figuring out what is it going to look like. And you know, the whole thing with guys going out and Carlson's not there and Howden's not there, and you've got to fill in and figure out, is it Holtz, is it Brisson, is it Lazinski, how much do you use those guys, what's it going to look like with road games with that top line, and how they can start finding ways to put better players against better different lines down your lineup and see how it takes them away. I do think that's something that's going to have to be figured out, and that's probably going to be what's going to determine where this team goes from the rest of this month, the rest of the season, and then into the postseason once we get there. Is how are they able to press the game forward at 5-on-5? Today, it didn't happen. Like, maybe you can say back end of the third period, fine. But as a whole, it just didn't happen today. The first period was better, but it was a lot of yellow puck stuff where the puck's along the boards in the offensive zone quite a bit, not really getting it to the front of the goal. Yes, good job using your strength, holding it and kind of wearing them down. That is good. But over the course of that period, really the main offense came on the power play. As the game progressed, that's kind of how it headed. Was it's like power play or bust, Eichel or bust. And that's where they're going to have to look to, what does it look like at the trade deadline? Obviously, if you watch the game on ESPN, you probably heard for 47 different times Mikko Rantanen got traded. So I'm not even want to touch on that at the moment because it doesn't really matter to the Golden Knights. Yes, maybe we end up seeing that team down the road, but I don't really care. The point is, trades can start happening. We are in front of Four Nations, where I think there is an argument to be made that if a player's in Four Nations, maybe you trade him now if you're considering doing it. So maybe they can look down that path. But it's going to be difficult to get a player who's playing in Four Nations because the Golden Knights don't have a lot of assets. So to find the perfect fit, the perfect next player, the next guy up, I think it's got to be more in the Stevenson, even Barbashev level. Might be even too high for right now, because I just don't know that they have the assets to pull off something like that. But what's going to be important is they're going to have to find that player, whether it's one, two, however, whatever, that are going to fit, that are going to find a way to make this team better at 5-on-5. Because as it stands, the way that the games are going, you're starting to see more of Hanifin pushing forward, more of Theodore pushing forward, more of Pietrangelo pushing forward. Haig's gotten a couple of opportunities, and that's leading to easier exits, easier flips into the neutral zone, not winning the battles in the neutral zone, and a lot more zone time going the other way. And at times, the Golden Knights have struggled with breaking the puck out in second periods when they've lived in their own end for too long. And basically all season long, they have not been excellent in front of their own goal on loose pucks. That was clearly abundant in this particular game. So those are the steps that you look at and you say, okay, well, does one player push the envelope back up enough, or forward? I don't know, whichever way you push the envelope. I don't know how that works. But does it make enough of a difference? I think if they're fully healthy, maybe. Because Carlson goes back in, your fourth line gets to be back something similar to what you wanted. If Hurdle can continue playing well with whoever you end up putting him with, that's going to make a huge difference, because that's not something we really had for the beginning half of the season. Like, that will be interesting to see if they can get there. But how long's Carlson going to be out? Are you going to be able to get back to health? There's a lot of question marks as we go forward. But another piece of this, and it's another piece that that I think this team has got to figure out at some point is what's going on defensively. But before I talk about that, I want to tell you that this Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Winning does matter. They're not doing a lot of it recently. But if you need to win, you know where to go. Seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Throw it into your search engine or Google, and you can find them. It's very easy. And then call them and tell them that SinBin sent you, and they will be very happy that you have done this. Noah Hannafin's back to being on the ice for every single goal. I don't know why this continues to be the case. It is certainly a concern because it was an issue before, and it's not something that just went away and never came back. It's now 18 goals in the last 10 games he's been on the ice for. That's a problem. That is a huge reason why they're heading in the wrong direction. When one and a lot, and Petrangelo's been out there a lot this time, where he was not as much last time. It's not quite to the same number, but it's a lot. So they've got to figure out why are they not being able to get the puck out of the zone consistently enough, and what is going wrong. I think in this game, I thought they were trying to be too precise getting the puck out of the zone. Like, this is a team that's fairly good forechecking. Their defensemen are very active getting up the walls. They're going to make that play along the wall very difficult. You have to find ways out of the zone. And I just didn't think there was enough glassing out, high flipping out that we have seen in some of the other games that you kind of want to limit what that team is doing and what Dallas is doing by getting the puck out quickly. I thought they were trying to pass their way out. I thought they were trying to find the perfect play, taking a little bit too much time on the puck. The urgency just wasn't quite at the level that it needs to be. And a lot of that has been with Hannan and Pietrangelo on the ice. So that's one where I'm not 100% fully sure what to make of it yet. Hannafin's offense has not been to the level it was when they got him last year. Now, he's not playing on the power play, which he was at times last year. He has not been the main offensive driving force of that pair, which at times he was last year. They've got to figure out, is he the answer as the partner to Pietrangelo against good teams and against high-end offensive lines? Like, that's going to have to be figured out over the course of the next, 35 games, whatever we have left. You're going to have to figure that out. And at the moment, it does look like there are concerns there of what is it going to be when we get into the most important games of the season, when you have to have a period where you allow zero, especially second periods, when you get in those periods where it's not going your direction, when you're not able to break out consistently, and you need your best defensive players to step on the ice, take charge, get yourself out of the zone, and flip the game back. If you get into those moments, can you put Pietrangelo and Hannan out there with any group of forwards that you can have? Now, Carlson being out definitely hurts. They're not getting that extra defensive center. That's their second best defensive center behind Eichel, probably. There's an argument to be made at different times that he can be even better than Eichel. While he's out, this is a moment they've got to figure it out. And right now, it's not going well. It's not going well at all. They're losing battles in front of the goal. They're not getting the puck out consistently. They're not getting that first pass fast enough when the puck gets dumped in. So they're kind of inviting the forecheck in a little bit more than they have been in the past. And it's leading to the goaltending's not been at the level that it was at the beginning of the season. I'm still not ready to go nuts about the goaltending. I don't think they need to go buy a goaltender at the deadline. I don't think any of that. I think the team in front of them has to be more consistent, has to be better to find ways to make sure that you're not having this situation where Hannan and Pietrangelo are on the ice over and over and over and over and over again, and more so Hannan than Pietrangelo, but they've been on the ice a lot for a lot of these goals. They are asked to do the very most difficult minutes that are in the game. They have to be able to stand up to it. It can't be 2 goals against every single night. And the fact that this happened before, it kind of dissipated, and now it's happening again, leads to a concern that has to be figured out moving forward. Does it have to be McNabb in that spot? do you have to decide we're going to go to McNabb? Because his plus minus all season has been awesome. He's been very good with Theodore, but they haven't taken on the absolute hardest minutes in the game. So that's where, moving forward, that's something we have to keep our eyes on as well. So why did they stay with Brisson over Holt? So it's kind of a weird one, and it's one that had my I'll call it spidey senses. I don't know. Sometimes things happen that don't make a ton of sense in the moment, that usually over time we eventually get more information. I don't know where this one's going to head, but it's weird. It's very odd to me to go from having him on the roster in the lineup, and then Howden comes back, and the decision is we're going to take Holtz out instead of Brisson or Lazinski. It's odd to me, Lazinski especially, because Lazinski's pushing now the 10-game number where he's going to have to go through waivers again, and I don't think the Golden Knights want to put somebody through waivers. Because of what happened with Edmonton, I don't know, Raphael Lavoie's not that important, at least it seems. He can't find a way to get a call-up, but I think you put somebody through waivers, there's a pretty high chance that a team like Edmonton's going to want to strike back and steal somebody back. Like, I think that is possible. Nonetheless, it does appear, I can't get official confirmation. I've asked the Golden Knights. They have not been able to get back to me with official confirmation. It does appear to me that he has been sent to the AHL. He is waiver exempt, Holtz, so he does not have to go through waivers. He is not on the roster today, or at least in the starting lineup today or tonight for the Silver Knights. They're playing a game right now at the Lee's Family Forum. He's not on that roster. There was a cap issue that with all of the different players, they did not have enough salary cap to have Brisson and Lazinski and Howden. So they didn't actually have enough room. They did have enough room with the, at least as far as what I've seen on some of these. Now, there's also the emergency condition. I think that could have potentially kicked in with the illness to Howden in the last game. There's a possibility that they could decide to go LTIR route if Carlson's going to be out more than 30 days, which it appears that that probably is going to be the case, but it also has to be 10 games. I don't know if that's, I'd have to look at the schedule and figure that one out because you don't want him to have to miss games on the other side. So maybe it's that. Maybe there's something there, but I think it's possible that after the last game, they looked at it and said, well, we've got three players who played the best. Which two played the best? And I think there's an argument to be made that Holtz was the worst of the three. I don't think he's had a very good start to his career as a Golden Knight. I don't know how much longer that career as a Golden Knight's going to last because it appears he's starting to get past. Now, I'm also throwing it out there because I don't have official confirmation that it was a waiver, not a waiver, but a reassignment. I do think that's what it was, but I don't have official confirmation. Maybe something else is going on. Maybe there's something else going on that we don't know about. We'll stay tuned and figure that one out as we move forward. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about in this game? Power play has been awesome. That's excellent to see. It's just there's such a belief in them right now. And it's not just us watching it believing, it's the way they're moving the puck. There's a confidence to the way they're moving the puck. It's moving quickly. It's players are moving off of it as well. There's so many different options that every single time Dorofeev touches it at the moment, the defense has to really respect that. He can then move it quickly back. Once Eichel gets it, they have to understand that they've got to allow it to go to Stone. So he's going to always have that pass available. And then once Stone gets it, he has either jam play in front, which scored against New York, drop it off to Hurdle, which scored recently as well, or the play across to Dorofeev. There are so many different options. And the other part of it is it's been really consistent with their entries. Their entries have been really good. I think there was one, maybe a couple games ago that I'm thinking back to that the entries struggled. And I was like, well, that's weird. Most of the time, the entries have been very good. And that's another piece of why they're looking so good on it is because they're in the zone all the time. Even if they take a shot, it gets blocked, it gets cleared, they know they're going to get right back into the zone immediately. They scored on a power play entry today. So that's also a huge positive. Penalty kill, on the other hand, not as good, right? Like it's been a lot of different concerns. And that's the issue I'm looking at with the penalty kill, that I don't fully understand why it's different things at different times. Today was entries. They give up a goal flat out because they could not deny entries. And they were in position to deny the entries, and they just flat out couldn't do it. I don't know why, but they just could not deny entries in this particular game. It was weird. Uh, the second power play that they had to kill was much better. Positioning's the same, or at least similar. Sticks on pucks a lot more often. They're being forced to dump it in. You get back. First pass is good. Get it out. Much more consistent. There's been issues with which play they're allowing. Chicago game is a good example. The one play you can't allow is Bertuzzi on the doorstep. He scored 2 of them in a game. There's been other games where there's different guys who you're afraid of, different shooters or different whatever. We can go through all of different ones. It's been different things. Play out in front, not respecting the player in front of the goal, not clearing out in front of the goal. It's not finishing the clear has been a little bit of an issue at times recently. Like the penalty kill, they got to figure something out because it just has not been good enough. As we look forward, though, we know we've talked about it a ton here recently. January's bad. It's always typically bad, but the January 1st to end of season number, typically, at least through the 6 seasons that have used the normal schedule, has been pretty indicative of what's going to happen from here. So you're going to have to start finding ways to win some of these games. Hopefully, that starts happening in the near future. Florida's going to be a difficult game at home. Dallas is going to be a difficult game at home. Columbus is going to be a difficult game at home. The other thing, I can't get off of it. I know I've talked a lot about it. I'm going to continue talking about it until it changes. I can't get off the starting goalie thing. Like when it's starting goalies, they're not winning. They're just not winning. They've won 2 games in the past 10, and almost all of them have been starting goalies against. And almost all of the games that they've won at the beginning of the season were backups. Like they're now exactly 500 against starting goalies, which the numbers actually indicate they're playing about the correct number of games, the way that the league has gone, where it's like 70-30 between starters and backups, and some teams are even lower. You might even be closer to like 65%. That's about what the numbers say, where they've played, I think it's now, 34 games? Let's see. They've played how many games? Let's do the math real quickly here. 49 games, 35 of them have been against the starters. 35 divided by 49, that's 71%. Yeah, so they're playing starters about as often as they should over the course of the season. There was that long stretch where they got a lot of the backups all in a row, and that's what kind of brought all of this to our attention. It was kind of weird. Nonetheless, over the course of the season, it's been about right. So that doesn't mean that the standings are goofy or that this team isn't any good or any of that. No, they're doing what they're supposed to do against the backup goalies. But eventually, you've got to find ways. You've got to find a way to make something happen against some of these better goalies. Today, I thought they were better. They scored a couple of goals that no goalie saves. So do more of that. Then game ends and you see what happens when a starting goalie's in the goal. So that's something that, like, it's kind of just, it's a red flag about what it can look like down the stretch. Like, how good actually is this team? That's part of it. That's something I do look at and say, uh-oh, I don't know that I like the look of that. Because 14, 14, and 4, or what is it now? Let me see. I have it. Hang on. Starting goalies. It is now 13, 13, and 4. 13, 13, and 4. So yeah, so that's 26. So I was actually short, right? It's 30 of my numbers are a little bit short. Nonetheless, 13, 13, and 4, as opposed to 17, 2, and 0, or 18, 2, and 0 against the backups. Got to find a way to be better. And I think that's just, this team has to improve. What we've gotten to this point, even though they've been in first place basically the entirety of the way, they've been leading the President's Trophy for a good portion. That's starting to slip away a little bit. Okay, whatever. Don't really care that much about it. The numbers are saying this team has to improve. They've still got to get better. Today, I think, was a good game. I think if you play that game, you're going to win that game quite a bit, especially considering the situation. I have no issue with tonight's game, even though it is a little bit one line and power play driven, which does not work in the playoffs. That's historically been proven. That will be proven again. If that's what we go into the playoffs with, it's not going to work. It's going to have to be more from the second line, from the third line. I'll end on that is saying there has to be improvement. They have to find ways to get better at 5-on-5, to get more consistent in front of their own end, to have their top pair not be on the ice as often, to get the goaltending back to the level that it was when it was at its best, and to get the penalty kill up to a level that is good enough that it's not a weakness. It was turning into a strength there, and now it's turned back a little bit into a weakness. There are steps that have to be taken. This is a very good team. This is clearly a playoff team. It's clearly one of the best teams in the Pacific Division. It's definitely one of the better teams in the Western Conference. But as things are going to change, as things around the league are going to shift and other teams are going to start bringing in players and the concentration of power is going to start going up towards the good teams, they've got to find a way to make the right move at the deadline to make themselves better, and as a team find a way to continue improving from this moment all the way forward. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring this Periscope and all Periscopes this season. We will probably do one again in one of these 3 home games. I don't know which one because I haven't looked that deeply at it, but that's all I got for tonight. See ya.